Oh, the weather outside is frightful. Okay, it is. It's snowing. I can't see it, but it is. I'm in the church, because I just dropped my off at school and I have sick people at home. So I'm just taking a moment to say some prayers in the parking lot, and then I'll be heading home. I apologize. I am not going to be able to quickly put together the other prepper videos because people have been sick, and I need designated time to be able to do some of those videos where I can retake and retake until I get it right. And when my people are sick and I'm having to tend to them, I have one shot for a few minutes in the car, maybe. So that's what I'm doing this for. So it's me, Annalisa Boyd, Orthodox Christian wife, mom to 10, bread baker, candy maker, self-proclaimed doula, accidental midwife, and the author of The Aesthetic Lives of Mothers Hear Me, Special Agents of Christ, and that's it. I keep on wanting to add the last little bit, but hey, there you go. But I do have an Etsy store, so that'll be in the description. And also, if you like this content, please like and subscribe, and maybe even share. It's a thing. All right, so today I wanted to talk about holidays. The holidays are coming. They are next week is Thanksgiving, and then we will go shopping and take a nap, and it'll be Christmas. It seems like it goes faster and faster every year. I remember when I was a kid, it took forever for Christmas to come, and just counting down the days to Christmas is so hard. But as a mom, it's like, wait, I blinked. It was just didn't school just start 3 days ago? Nope. And now we are already in November and going to have Thanksgiving next week. So, whew, okay. So it can be overwhelming. Now, a lot of people, you can find YouTube channels that are going to have and Pinterest and all those things that are going to have great ideas and recipes and, ways to make, cute little ornaments and, family together time and just all sorts of fun, great things that are out there. This is not that video. This is not to be fatalistic, but this is more a video of holidays with challenges. And that could be challenges with relationships in your immediate family or in your extended family, or with old relationships. It can be, the memorial of a tragedy that took place. Maybe a loved one died, or loved one. Yes, okay, I can speak. A loved one died, or there was some sort of big event that happened that was very negative and life-changing that happened around the holidays. And our insides, our bodies remember. And for example, I was in a major car accident when I was 15 years old. It was right before I turned 16. And the girl sitting next to me was killed. And so every year, there's just, even if I'm not thinking about it, my body is aware of what happened. Was that 35 years ago? It's aware. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, it's that day. But there are things, and our body does keep track of things sometimes for us. So we may, as the holidays are getting closer and everybody's all cheerful and all the fun, Christmas movies are on, and everything is just like jingle bells and Christmas unicorns and stuff. That may not be what's going on. Or you may be in a present situation that's difficult with a loved one, with a family member, with a spouse, or with a child. And that can be hard. You may be in a situation where you look at everybody else who seems to have it together, and you're thinking, I don't want to celebrate. There's nothing to celebrate. Nothing. There is nothing. And it feels like this big, huge lie. So I want to step back just a little bit, and here's my perspective on a lot of that. I think number one, it's important for us to be gentle with ourselves and to be honest with ourselves. I know people throw that around a lot, be honest or be gentle with yourself. But it's true. We need to acknowledge kind of the emotional needs that we may have around this season. That and not beat ourselves up because we don't have all the feel good touchy feelies that everybody else seems to have during this time. And that's okay. That we're not failing in some way because we don't have the feeling that matches what the season is supposed to be. I think Silent Night is a really good carol for this. It's silent and holy and reverent. So we don't have to do all the hype. We do not have to, try to fake our way through it. Now, of course, we don't want to ruin it for our children or anything like that, or our spouse. But at the same time, it is important for us to be honest with ourselves, to recognize what our needs are, and to kind of come up with a plan for how to approach the season. And it can be, in the Orthodox Church, we do talk a lot about joyful sorrow. And if there is loss of any kind or strain of any kind, it's important for us to acknowledge those things. And I think, as we approach the season of nativity, of Christ's birth, as the beginning of that journey to his death and resurrection, I think we can create ways to commemorate or acknowledge the hurt that we may be experiencing. Again, it might be a loss. It could be a current challenging situation. I personally like to go to the dollar store and most dollar stores have the vigil candles, and I get lots. I get probably 150 a year or more because I light them. They're going almost continuously in my home just as a reminder to pray. But they're good if you have a date during the holiday season that's coming up that's difficult. Being able to make some sort of memorial around the challenge can be very helpful. It's not necessarily a celebration, yay, this bad thing happened, but we're acknowledging that either something hurtful or traumatizing or something took place, and that God is aware, and we are drawing ourselves back to prayer. And he is there for us during that time. Another thing that we can do is try to have reasonable expectations for ourselves and not worry too much about letting other people down, or trying to make the appearances at the Christmas parties and things like that. If you do not have the bandwidth for that, that is something to take into consideration and not be ashamed of. If you have kids, it can be a little harder because you want them to be able to participate in things, but you do need to be mindful of maybe being creative around challenges. If you have a trusted person who might be able to take the kids to an event and you do a more quiet connect with them at home where you have cookies and hot chocolate, but maybe don't go to the Christmas party. Something that still acknowledges, I love you, and we can celebrate things together and we can make positive memories together, even in the middle of a hurting season. Another thing is you may have a spouse that struggles with the holiday season, and so you end up experiencing their trauma as you are trying to be supportive to them during their struggling this season of struggle, and maybe despondency. Maybe you have a spouse who experiences seasonal depression, and it's not based on an event, but on some mental health stuff that they have no control over. Coming up with ways to acknowledge and support, but also say, okay, I will support and give you the space that you need, and I'm going to go do these things with the kids. Or, not becoming bitter and being like, well, we never get to do anything. Wait, because you're always so negative. Just not even going there and being like, okay, we will do what you need to do. I'm supportive. I love you. Maybe encourage if there's not counseling, or, maybe get a professional involved or something. But it's okay for you to support and encourage your spouse in their struggle, while also making fun with other people, or for your children or whatever, and actually enjoying the time. And I think that helps to take the stress off of everyone. If there was the loss of a loved one, it can be very healing and encouraging to create a tradition around things that they enjoyed, or that you enjoyed doing with them. So if there was a cookie exchange every year, and going over to grandma's house for tea, for Christmas tea or something like that, create that in your home with your children, thus keeping that sweet memory alive. Or have their favorite food, or something that was fun or funny or silly, that had to do with that person that you lost. Sometimes the loss of a loved one was very unexpected, and maybe there had been strain, and there was not the ability for there to be any kind of reconciliation or closure. And that's important to acknowledge too. And that's, again, where I would encourage the lighting of a vigil candle, getting pretty flowers or something like that to set on the altar at your home, and say prayers, because God is aware of our loss. He is aware of our hearts. He is aware of the struggle it is to, not have that closure that we may have so desired to have. Sometimes really bad things happen, and we don't have the opportunity to say sorry. Sometimes there have been fights, and that is the last time you've seen that person, and you would do anything to go back and change what you said, or maybe you didn't answer the phone and that was the last, something happens, or there are all sorts of scenarios of tragedy that could have taken place. And sharing our hearts with Christ. He came for us. He came to connect us to himself. He came with rejection. I mean, they were rejected at the end. They couldn't find a place to be. He came and took on all of our pain and suffering. And this season is a reminder of that he came to bear our burdens, to grant us His grace and mercy and salvation. So, anyway, so it can be a struggle. If you have the bandwidth to do it, create some new traditions that bring joy during the season. One other thing I was going to say. You may have a child or children who are high needs or have invisible or visible disabilities that make it difficult for you to participate in the season the way, I think we all have that kind of Hallmark view of the holiday season. Miracle on 34th Street and White Christmas, and those are my favorites. Things like that. Even Santa Claus is coming to town. Everything with a happy ending. And that may not be the reality that you're living in. And I think the biggest thing we can do is try to avoid resenting where we are. I hate when people say, people have called me a saint before when they find out that we've adopted, or some of the kids that we've had, or some of the struggles that we've had. I'm like, definitely not a saint. Like, if you had the camera safely rolling, you would you would know, and my children will tell you. But sometimes when people are aware of our struggles, they'll be like, "You're so brave," and I'm like, stop saying that. It's a struggle and it's not fun, and I don't feel like I know what I'm doing ever. But if you do have children who have disabilities, again, be gentle with yourself and be gentle with them. And if you have to roll things back and create little moments at home, do that. Christmas lights are going to be going up soon. May not be able to go Christmas caroling with the church, but maybe we can put on Christmas music and drive around for 15 minutes and enjoy that, and have hot chocolate when we get home. If that's too much, there's going to be some little something where you can listen to a Christmas song each night before prayer time or after prayer time. Something that connects your family, each other, and your child to what's coming, the nativity season. Preparing for Christmas. Some kids cannot do all the presents all at once. Understand what, or be honest about what may take place, and prepare yourself for the excitement, the disappointment, and the aftermath, because sometimes that is exactly what happens. The anticipation of Christmas can be super overwhelming for kids with mental health issues. The Christmas day can be super exciting, and they will tear through whatever they got and open it super quickly, and you may be so excited about the item that you got, or that you know that they're getting, that is something that they wanted, and maybe it was the wrong color and they lose it and they're bawling, and you're like, why do I even try? So preparing for the likelihood that that is going to happen. It's kind of, we do the same thing with toddlers. We need to do the same thing with toddlers, is prepare for them to be disappointed, partially because they're exhausted from being excited this whole time. And that's with our kids with mental health issues too. Same kind of thing. And sometimes our teenagers, or who don't have mental health issues, I think being a teenager is it is a mental health issue. But prepare yourself as best as you can not to be disappointed when they're disappointed. And if they don't do that, great. But if they do, if they start to lose it, kind of have a plan of action to be like, okay, so let's talk about that later. It sounds like you're super disappointed. We can talk about that now if you want, or later, like what's going on. Don't get sucked into the, I spent all this money to make you happy for the thing that you wanted, and you're going to get upset about the color? Really? I think that's what our first response often is. But if we can acknowledge that it's probably more going on, there's probably more going on than it being the wrong color. And we need to be aware of that and prepare ourselves. And then also for after Christmas, because again, they're coming down off this super big high. And a lot of our kids, they play with their things for 20 minutes and then they're like, I'm bored. What are we going to do now? Like, how are you going to entertain me? Be prepared for that as well. And if you can, prepare them for before Christmas, Christmas Day, this is the plan. And after Christmas, we're going to do the 12 days of Christmas, or we're going to do this special thing each day until you go back to school or until we start school again. Something like that to help diminish the stress level. Then you know what your expectations are for yourself, and we have expectations for our kids, but we also acknowledge that it could go any which way. And if we acknowledge that and we don't take it personally, that makes a huge difference in our lives. Because I do know a lot of parents who have kids with mental health issues really struggle at Christmas, because that is the outcome. They get yelled at. Holidays tend to be really difficult for families who have mental illness as part of what's going on in their family. And that's whether it's a parent or a child, that's anybody, or a grandparent, anybody who's going to be participating in your festivities or going to potentially make those festivities difficult or near impossible. There is still always a way to have joy, a little piece of joy. And if all we can think about is the hope in the resurrection in the world to come, that is still something to be joyful about. We can acknowledge our pain, we can acknowledge the challenges and the frustration, but there is hope, and it is Christ. So anyway, over the next few weeks, I'm probably going to do little minis. I want to take a quote from a saint, and I'll actually try to quote it because I'm really bad at, I kind of paraphrase everything, but I do want to address or use some quotes that I've just found to be super encouraging. But the bottom line is, be gentle with yourself, be honest with yourself, try to set reasonable expectations for yourself and others, and live love. God is love. Be loving to yourself and to those around you, even if and even when. All right. Okay, that was a lot longer than I was expecting, but let's keep working out our salvation one mama moment at a time. Thanks.